The former sub-postmaster Lee Castleton, whose story, of course, featured in ITV's hit drama Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, is making history again.
Yes, he's becoming the first person to sue both the Post Office and Fujitsu, the tech firm that developed the faulty Horizon IT system that gave postmasters false accounts.
I remember when watching that drama when it first went out, just sort of itching to see some of you guys punching back, you know, actually getting up on your hind legs and going on the attack. And that's exactly what you've done. I think it's fantastic. And let's just make it clear, this isn't about a criminal case. No. Yours was a purely civil judgment made against you.
Absolutely.
And you've just basically thought to yourself, do you know what? I'm not taking this. I'm standing up and I'm punching.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried desperately writing to the Post Office over the last few years to ask them to put this aside in a particular way. I don't want it just to disappear without reason. It's got to be done reasonably and in a way that I'm happy with and that they're happy with, but they're just not interested.
You were made liable for the £25,000 that went missing, despite the fact you'd made, what, almost 100 calls to say this isn't right?
Yeah, begging for help, yeah.
Which we saw, of course, in the drama. But fighting the Post Office and Fujitsu bankrupted you.
It did, yeah.
And, unlike the criminal cases, you have not managed to get the judgment overturned, and the compensation doesn't touch the sides, does it?
No, I mean, the compensation, if it was just about money, I could just apply to the schemes, like some of the other guys, and just get on with the process. But the process is basically wrong. You're litigated against on every point. So every time that you go through the schemes, they argue every single point, which is fine. I'm not bothered about that, but you have no intermediary. Whereas in this way, for me personally, I'll have a judge in the middle that I can put my representations to, and they'll be able to represent themselves to, and let him decide.
And what do you want exactly?
I want to clear my name.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I deserve it. I think to go through compensation is a bit like putting your boot on before you put your sock on. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Post Office want me to go through this route of compensation. The government have already issued a release saying, you know, all he needs to do is apply to the compensation scheme. I want to put my sock on first.
You want to clear your name?
I do.
You were the person found liable for losing that money. We now know that is not what happened. This happened back in 2007.
So yesterday was 21 years since I was suspended from my office.
Jeez, that long. It's hard, to be honest with you, it's hard to see how you can lose. It's hard to see how any judge wouldn't find in your favour. I mean, you were never accused of anything criminal.
No.
You were simply accused of incompetence.
Yeah.
Of just losing and losing and losing and losing the money.
Absolutely.
Completely false accusation.
Yeah.
But you must be very confident that you're going to get a good result.
I was confident last time, and I lost. You know, I believe the truth will come out. I believe in justice, and I believe that the rest of the group deserves to have another facet, another way of going forward. It's been a group thing all the way through. I've sat back and waited, not for any other reason than knowing that this was a path that would be there.
Before the drama, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, and after the drama, how much did general support and action and spirit switch?
People have been so warm, and after the drama, people understand what we've been through. People have been fantastic over the last few days as well, lifting my spirits, because it's quite a nervous thing to do, to set about, you know, doing this. They have proved over the years that they will weaponise taxpayers' money. They will absolutely swamp this with huge amounts of money.
With legal fees.
With legal fees, yeah. And that's going to be a proposition that's going to be very difficult for me. But I'm very much wrapped in a blanket at the moment. I'm very lucky to be so inspired by the public.
I would imagine, actually, now you've taken this decision to go on the attack, you probably feel a lot better about yourself.
I do. I feel as though we're finally putting a little bit of our narrative into their narrative.
You're
They've
taking
controlled every aspect. Yeah. They set up the schemes. They did, obviously, the original perpetration of the crimes. How many times would you see the criminal, the person that did this to us, decide how, who and where any compensation goes, decide how that's going to be treated, how the scheme's going to be run? Where would that happen? that's what's happening right now.
Well, more power to your elbow, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
We are obliged to read the Post Office statement.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, you'll be familiar with this, I'm sure. Post Office said, we are committed to doing all we can to help those affected get closure. We cannot comment on ongoing legal proceedings, but once we receive the claim, we will engage fully in the process.
Well, let's move on to Fujitsu, the company concerned. They said this. Regarding this matter with the utmost seriousness and based on the findings of the inquiry, we will be working with the UK government on the appropriate actions, including contribution to compensation.
How long is it going to take you to clear your name now, do you think, considering you bought your post office in 2003 and the scandal happened within a year? So 2004 to now, 21 years.
Yep.
How much longer?
2, 3 years.
Unbelievable.
Bring it on. I'm happy. I'm quite happy. If I went through the schemes, they are purposefully elongating every claim. Some of the guys have been in the claim system now for 4 years.
Yeah.
Unresolved, under pressure, the trauma and all of that. So
in 2 years' time, how old will you be?
58.
And how old were you when it all kicked off?
35.
35 to 58. What a slice of your life.
Yeah. My children, my family,
Yeah.
everybody.
Good luck. Great to see you.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much.